The problem states, complete the following table. 2x minus 3y is equal to 3. And we have the table here. We have to complete this table. So they give us the x values. We have to complete the table, so we have to solve for y values. So for this problem, we're going to plug in every x value individually into this equation and solve for y. So we're going to start with -3. So we're going to plug in -3 where we see x, and we solve for y. So this is going to be 2 times -3 minus 3y is equal to 3. So what I did here, I just plugged the -3 where I see x. So this x became -3. Now I have to solve for y. So 2 times -3 is -6 minus 3y is equal to 3. So I'm solving for y, so I need this to be by itself. So I have to bring this -6 to the side. So when we bring it to the other side, it changes sign. So since this is -6, we have to add 6 to both sides. So -6 plus 6, 0, cancels out. So we're left with -3y is equal to 3 plus 6 is 9. So we have -3y is equal to 9. Now to solve for y, we have to divide by the number that's in front of it, because this is multiplication, and we have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So we're going to divide by the number in front of y, which is -3. We have to also do to the other side. So whatever we do to one side, we always have to do to the other side. So -3 divided by -3 is 1, so we're left with y is equal to 9 divided by -3 is -3, because positive divided by negative is negative. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So y is equal to -3. So we can plug this into the table. So this is stating that when x is -3, y is -3. Because we plug -3 for x, and when we solve for y, we get -3. So now make sure you have this written down, because we're going to continue with 0. So now next step, we have to plug in 0 for x and solve for y. So this is 2 times 0 minus 3y is equal to 3. Now we solve for y. 2 times 0 is 0. Minus 3y is equal to 3. So if this is 0, this just cancels out. So we're just left with -3y is equal to 3. Now to solve for y, we have to divide by the number in front of it. Because it's multiplication, we always got to divide if it's multiplication. Because -3 times y, to get rid of the -3, we have to divide by -3 to both sides. So -3 divided by -3 is 1. So we're left with 1y is equal to positive divided by negative is negative. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So when we plugged in 0 for x, we solve for y, we get -1. So that we're going to fill in into our table. Now again, make sure you have this written down, because we're going to continue with x being 3. So now we're going to plug in 3 for x and solve for y. So this becomes 2 times 3 minus 3y is equal to 3. So now we have to solve for y. So 2 times 3 is 6 minus 3y is equal to 3. Now we got to move this 6 over to this side. So since this is positive, we have to subtract 6 to both sides. So 6 minus 6 is 0, so cancels out. So we're left with -3y on this side is equal to 3 minus 6. So 3 minus 6 is -3. Now, to solve for y, we're going to divide by -3 to both sides. So you can see a pattern. Each time when we solve for y, at this step, we're always dividing by -3, by the number in front of it. It's always going to be -3. So -3 divided by -3 cancels out. We're left with y is equal to negative divided by negative is positive. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So y is equal to 1. So we can fill that into our table. So that means that when x is equal to 3, y is equal to 1, as we can see here. Again, make sure you have this written down, because we're going to continue with x being 6. So now we're going to replace x with 6 and solve for y. So this is 2 times 6 minus 3y is equal to 3. 2 times 6 is 12 minus 3y is equal to 3. So in order to get y by itself, we have to move this 12 over to the side. So since this is positive 12, we have to subtract 12 to both sides. So 12 minus 12 is 0, so that cancels out. This comes down, 3y, negative 3y stays on this side, is equal to 3 minus 12. So this is just 12 minus 3, which is 9, but 12 is the higher number, so it stays negative. So that's the rule. When you subtract 3 minus 12, we know that 12 is higher, so since this is negative 12, it stays negative, and 12 minus 3 is 9. And now we should divide by negative 3 again. So we see a pattern, right? Each time we get to this step, when we have negative 3y is equal to the number, we always divide by negative 3. So negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, we're left with y is equal to, negative divided by negative is positive. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So y is equal to 3. Put that in your table. So that's saying that when x is 6, y is 3. Make sure you have this written down because we're going to move on to x being 9. So last part of the table, we're going to plug in 9 for x and solve for y. So it's 2 times 9 minus 3y is equal to 3. 2 times 9 is 18. Minus 3y is equal to 3. To solve for y, we have to bring the 18 to this side. So we're going to subtract 18 because this is the opposite sign. This is positive. Now I have to do minus 18 to both sides. 18 minus 18, 0. Cancels out. We're left with negative 3y on this side is equal to 3 minus 18. So positive and a negative. So we're going to subtract 18 minus 3 gives us 15. The sign becomes whatever the higher number is. So since 18 is the higher number and it's negative, this stays negative. So 3 minus 18 is negative 15. Again, looks similar, so we're going to divide by negative 3 again to both sides. So we divide negative 3 by negative 3 is 1. So we're left with y is equal to, negative divided by negative is positive. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So y equals 5. So when we plug 9 for x and solve for y, we get 5. In order to complete the table, we have to plug in x into the equation each time. So 5 separate times for these 5 numbers and solve for y. So when we plugged in negative 3, we got negative 3 for y. When we plug in 0 for x, we got negative 1 for y. When we plug in 3 for x, we got 1 for y. When we plug in 6, we've got 3 for y. When we plugged in 9, we got 5 for y. And we see we completed the table, and this is the answer.